Call the March 11th meeting of the Carthage City Council to order. Interim Chief Martin, will you give the invocation?
Heavenly Father, we gather here tonight. Again, we thank you for our help and our ability to be here, Father. I ask you to examine our hearts, fill us with wisdom, so that the result of our efforts will bring glory to you and you alone. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Chief Hawkins, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will now call the roll.
Taylor. Peterson.
Present.
West.
Here.
Lease.
Present.
Heckmaster.
Present.
Barlow.
Here.
Schramm.
Here.
I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our February 25th council meeting
I move
and the
that we
closed session.
approve the February 25th minutes as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the February 25th council meetings as presented in the packet. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Move on to public comments. Each person addressing the council shall state their name and address, organization or firm represented, and is limited to no more than 5 minutes. Time may be extended by the chair if deemed necessary. Once a person has had their say on a particular issue, they are not permitted to once again speak on the issue unless called to answer any further questions by the council or the chair.
Good evening. My name is Chuck Bryant, General Manager of Carthage Water and Electric Plant. And those Carthage residents here today and members of the business community probably have a decent idea of why I'm here today after dealing with a second outage in 1 week from the SPA substation. So I wanted to take just a quick minute, if you don't mind, Mayor, it's a very brief update as to what happened, but hopefully field questions if there are any. So over the course of the last several years, I've come to this body and presented some information at different times about certain events and how we receive power into the city of Carthage. And the way we receive power into the city of Carthage is ownership or having a stake in a facility somewhere else, and that energy from Osceola, from Sykeston, and one day from Dogwood will ultimately works its way through the transmission network and arrives in Carthage and is delivered to us at the SPA substation south of town. That's our link to the outside world. Some do not have as robust a substation as we have in Carthage with SPA. Some communities are forced to deal with just one entity and just one connection and just one bus work. We have some redundancy in that, and we have a great partner in SPA. SPA is a Department of Energy agency, is the Southwest Power Administration. They are a department of the energy, and last week we suffered an outage from the breaker opening up at the substation on the south end of town at SPA sub. And when that happens, it shuts the power off to the entire city. Well, I'll get into a little bit more, but just for a timeline perspective, that was situation A, or the first outage that we had Monday of last week. This morning, a very similar situation happened at a different bank of switches in the same substation. So I have been at CWP for almost 30 years. Kevin Emery is our electric distribution, our electric systems manager or director. He's been there almost as long as I have. And the folks that we work with on SPA have been there for a very, very long time. We have not seen this happen before in that substation. I can count on one hand the number of times that substation has opened up, and we've been isolated from the grid in that period of almost 30 years. So it's very unusual that it has happened twice in 1 week. And for it to not be related, or what appears to be not related, is even more so. But so that you understand what happens, the energy comes in the transmission lines, 161 kV line, into two different transformers that sit on that property. One on the right is ours, the one on the left, or I guess the east side, is KMO's, the one on the west side is CWP's, it's the City of Carthage. And from that point in time, it takes the transmission voltage from 161 down to a 69 kV line. Many of you are familiar with the work that we've done to repair and upgrade the 69 line on the east side of town to move it from the 1960s product to a more modern and a larger conductor and make improvements to it. And that substation connects to the two feeds, one going on the west side of town, one coming around on the east side of town. So what happens, like would happen in a substation inside of Carthage, if you have an animal or a tree or something cross two of the phases, it will trigger a safety protection and open up a relay or open up a switch so that it doesn't burn the line down. And what we found last week, and I want to thank the school district, they have a lot of video footage from the high school, so we can actually see the explosion that happened at 4-ish on a Monday of last week. Something had crossed in that substation on our side of the 69 bushings. When that happened, it opened up all the switch gear in that substation to isolate and protect that substation so we don't lose, a $3 million transformer, and KMO doesn't lose, a $2 or $3 million transformer. So it's a protection. Alan, or Mr. Mayor, is it all right if I go past this?
Go ahead
I
and continue.
apologize. So that protection is in place to keep equipment from literally burning down. When you go onto that site, which we are the first responders almost every time if anything goes on in that substation, when we go into that, you generally find an animal laying on the ground or a balloon or a bag of some sort or something laying somewhere that you can identify as the obvious issue. And last week we did not find anything. So the investigation was continuing and has been. We've had dozens of calls with SPA over the last week to identify the exact time things happen. We're looking at the voltage and amps in the system to determine what could have caused it, along with their evaluation of the same thing. And it, to this point, still have not seen it. We do see where some damage occurred, but we don't know what the cause was. Now, that's just a very unfortunate situation, and I apologize for not having a better answer as to what occurred last week. But to follow it up this morning, at approximately 7 o'clock this morning, we had a switchgear open. Well, a switchgear had an arc across it that measured about 14,000 amps, and it is a massive fireball. And that's exactly what happened. Again, we saw it, the footage on the school district's cameras that they shared the footage with us. Our folks responded immediately to that. The benefit is that we can do some troubleshooting. We can get out and we can see some equipment that maybe has failed. We can see most of the time an insulator that is broken or an animal laying on the ground. We can attribute real quickly what the problem is and give them, SPA, some updates so that they can make adjustments as they need to in the system. We got out there this morning and quite quickly found where the arc was, and it appears to be, by all indications, a piece of equipment failure in the switchgear on the SPA side. So when this happens on that side of the substation, that entire set of breakers opens up and renders us without power. It also renders whoever KMO is using in that second transformer without power. The transformers are not damaged, which is very good. But an equipment failure is what caused that this morning. And that's what we attribute that to, along with SPA and their investigation into it. So after that was determined to be the case, the equipment failure, we were able to isolate that breaker and take it off the system so that we re-energized the substation and the feed back to the city. We would have full power and not trip off again with that damaged switchgear. So their folks isolated that, they got it back on, and then we've had power ever since. A lot of questions about this today. It's you know, we live in a world where we have power all day long. We walk into rooms and we don't hope the light switch comes on, we expect it. That's the world we want to be in as well. We are extremely disappointed that both of these events happened. We take this very seriously. While we do not have the physical ability to walk into that substation and make repairs, we certainly have a relationship with SPA and their leadership, who now completely understand how frustrated the city of Carthage is about what has happened. And we have made that very clear to them. Our customers deserve better, and they are also very aware of that as well. And after my discussions with their administrator today, they're going to go back and do some more investigating in the situation that happened last week to try to determine the cause. They will be replacing all of the equipment that could potentially have been affected by the arc that happened this morning, and then take preventative measures moving forward. I will say the SBA footprint is very large. They have a lot of substations. They do a very good job in preventative maintenance. Again, based on our history and history of some of their relay technicians and such at the substation and at SPA, it's just a very unique situation that happened in Carthage literally 2 weeks in a row. So on behalf of Carthage Water and Electric, I want to apologize to all the citizens and those who suffered through that this morning. There's no worse time. Well, I don't know. There may be a worse time, but in the morning getting kids ready for school is about the worst time, and we certainly understand that, as our folks are doing the same. And we apologize for the inconvenience that it caused to everyone. We would like for you to follow us on social media so that you can get the most information, most accurate information, up to date. We try to put that out there as soon as we have information to share with the public. We also have staff dedicated to working with our larger industrial customers so they understand how they're going to manage their shifts moving forward. And we have constant communication with the school district to better inform them on how they should be able to handle the day, whether they need to cancel class or what they need to do to move forward. So very rare occurrence. It's very unfortunate, but that's not an excuse. I think SPA will work very, very hard to make whatever improvements are necessary in that substation, and we'll go back to what has traditionally been a very good connection to the grid. And I guess with that, I'll answer any questions if that's all right with you, Mayor.
Yeah, any questions?
Surely there's some questions.
I appreciate you coming tonight and giving us that explanation. I know this morning when I sent you a message,
Yeah.
and you responded pretty quickly, I knew that it wasn't going to be good with it being SBA, but we were able to get power back on as quick as we could.
Yeah, well,
Appreciate
we would
that.
love to have more access to do more in that substation, but we just can't. That's not allowed. But our communication with SBA, it's a good two-way communication, and they understand what our expectations are, and what we expect as a community from them and their service to the substation here in Carthage. So
Thanks for the update.
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Misty White, and I live at 1647 South Garrison Avenue. And I actually intended to come in February, but I was sick for about 3 weeks, so you didn't see me. So Mayor, councilmen and women, I'm here to address the matter of the fire chief, or rather the lack of one. It's been some time now since this has been addressed, and I didn't realize it was on the agenda for tonight, or so I heard. But I felt that I need to address it again. I thank you for listening and hearing me with an open heart and mind. Jason Martin is the finest candidate for the position. And for those of you who are on the hiring committee who voted yes, at least during the committee meeting, you also agreed with the view of Jason that I have since formed. And yet, out of a seemingly political agenda, one of you abstained, a complete turnaround from the prior approval. It seems to the Carthage public that his denial of the appointment was solely based on his appearance at shadowing one of the recall workers
on Tiffany Cossey's recall campaign and a single letter from a citizen. Whatever else that there may be that only the council people in those meetings would know, you will have to let your conscience bear witness of that. Ever since the non-appointment of the fire chief, however, I have observed Jason Martin and his interactions with his detractors to be respectful and kind, and with those who would cheer him on or be loud in their passionate defense of him, I've observed him putting people in check, calming tempers, and even correcting those who would support him when they are out of line. These are good job qualities that will work in his favor when he needs to be there for the firemen after tough calls. There have been many testimonies of the work that he does for this community, from citizens as well as his men, the firemen, and even former fire chief. One of the most shameful things that I saw during the Maple Leaf Parade this last year was someone who, in all rights, ought to be our fire chief, have to drive around a truck that was corrected by some expense, maybe not a lot, but some expense to taxpayers, I'm sure, to read interim fire chief for all the 4-state area to read how we can't even hire a fire chief. Jason has endured the fiery trial well in my eyes. He's borne it with humility. I've watched different interviews with him, and he's allowed the fire to temper him and refine him. I've seen his character displayed through it. However, Carthage still needs a fire chief. A lot of things were backed up due to the strife in this city, this I understand. But it is time to be honest with yourselves. If you were a member of the hiring committee and voted yes to approve Jason Martin as the candidate for fire chief, if you were a council person who voted yes and then chose to vote no or abstain, let's take a good honest look at ourselves. It was clear that it was politically and selfishly by some motivated. No matter how noble the political motivation might seem to be, it was not motivated from a merit-based heart to see someone who does the job well get the job. Jason comes well recommended and has the respect of his men and has fulfilled his role as interim fire chief well. It's time to bring Jason Martin before the hiring committee again. It's time for Carthage to have Jason Martin as their fire chief. It's time to restore some broken trust. Many citizens do not put their trust in the majority of this council due to a lot of the actions of the past seasons. It's time to restore the trust of the Carthage citizens. Thank you again for listening and hearing me with an open heart and mind. I would greatly appreciate it if you would put this into action and back on the agenda. Maybe it is. I really didn't read the agenda tonight. Thank you for listening.
Speaker, could you pass this and then get into the minute, please? Hello, my name is Patrick Scott. I live at 5305 County Road 175. All the council people and Mr. Mayor, I'm passing each of you a packet that includes 3 documents. It's a copy of my speech, the first page of a public probate document listing the address of an individual, and a ward map of the city of Carthage showing the ward location of that address. Today, I would like to bring to your attention a concern regarding the eligibility of a candidate running for Carthage City Council. Specifically, I'm referring to TJ Teed, who has filed to run for a seat in Ward 4. According to the public records, his listed address on file with the city is 615 East Airport Drive, Apartment 5C, Carthage, Missouri, which does fall within Ward 4. However, I recently discovered that in a public probate document, Mr. Teed lists a different address, 1313 Wyndham Lane, Carthage, Missouri, as his primary address. This address is located in Ward 5, not in Ward 4. I'll read that again. This address is located in Ward 5, not in Ward 4, which you have a map of that as well. While I'm not certain of the specifics, this raises legitimate questions about whether Mr. Teed meets the eligibility requirements to run for city council in Ward 4. I believe it is important that these questions are addressed to ensure all the election requirements are properly met. The voters of Ward 4 deserve to know that the candidate they are voting for truly resides in their ward and will represent their interests. as a concerned citizen, however, not in the city limits, as some will tell, and it's true, I wanted to do some further research. Today, I went to this address listed within the city, 615 East Airport Drive, apartment 5C, and knocked on the door. No one answered. However, I did notice a new doormat right in front of the door, okay? I was able to speak with someone there at the complex. This individual told me they remembered a man and his wife and their children moving out of apartment 5C a while ago. They stated the apartment is now being rented to someone else with the first name of C. I'm not going to do it for privacy, and last name of M. So additionally, I inquired about the condition of the property and asked whether mold remediation was taking place in the apartment or elsewhere in the complex. The individual mentioned that the property had been renovated in 2023. So there is no ongoing mold remediation work at this time at that property. Given these circumstances, my question to Mr. Teed is, what is your legal residence? It is important for voters to understand whether Mr. Teed is legally eligible to represent Ward 4. This matter should be clarified to ensure transparency and fairness in the election process. Lastly, I want to be clear about my intentions in addressing this issue. I had planned to wait until after the election, as I believe Alan Snow will win Ward 4. However, due to the importance of this issue, I have already decided to begin the process of filing a suit against Mr. Teed for possible election fraud if this eligibility concern is not met. Thank you very much.
My name is Bill Shear. I live at 422 East 13th Street. Patrick, why do you keep coming up here? You don't even live in the city.
Mr. Shear, you're to speak to the council and not address members of the
Well,
audience.
that's all I wanted to say. That's bull. Intimidating these kids.
Escort him out.
Please.
Move on to reports of standing committees, Budget Ways and Means, Chairperson Heckmaster.
Budget Ways and Means Committee met 5:30 PM last night here in council chambers. At the February 25th council meeting, I reported that Interim Chief Jason Martin had presented an opportunity for us to purchase a new ladder truck. At that time, the truck was available and was cheaper than the projected budget amount for fiscal year 2027. That truck unfortunately sold prior to our signing a contract. Last night, Jason presented a new ladder truck opportunity offered by Banner Fire Equipment. The base price of this truck is $1,187,602. And once additional equipment is added, Jason believes the total cost will be from $50,000 to $100,000 less than the estimated budgeted amount. Barring the unexpected, this truck will be available October 2026. Banner Fire Equipment has requested a letter of intent to purchase to hold the truck until a contract can be signed. At this time, I make a motion to approve a letter of intent be sent to Banner Fire Equipment to secure the ladder truck for purchase.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to send a letter of intent to purchase a ladder truck from Banner Equipment. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your work on it, Jason. Next, we considered a Public Works and Street Department access project. Total Electronics Contracting, also known as TEC, is to install access control on 6 doors at the Public Works facility. The system is like the access control at City Hall. While there were initially issues with the exterior doors at City Hall, this is only because of the door issues. It was not a TEC issue.
According to Michael Keith, TEC service has been extraordinary. The committee unanimously voted to approve this purchase, which provides advanced security to the Public Works facilities. You'll find this opportunity as Council Bill 2514 on tonight's agenda. The City of Carthage and Carthage Police Department are fortunate to have received a 2025 LEST grant totaling $23,991.55. This grant, which is listed in tonight's agenda as Resolution 2077, will provide new Motorola batteries, ODET fees, translator, iPad Pro, Adora software, first aid kits, and First2 software. We considered and discussed the Kellogg Lake Board request for a rearing pond grant application involving a financial contribution from the city. The resulting improvements would be to the smaller pond to address clogging and erosions. Also, it would provide an ADA compliant sidewalk. The city's portion of the expense is $65,937.25, which is 50% of the project total. The Steadley Memorial Trust will be asked to provide the remaining 50% of the project. While the city's expenditure was not in our current budget, Ms. Cox confirmed that the monies would be found. The committee unanimously voted to move forward. The council will vote on this tonight, Resolution 2058. The next order of business was to consider and discuss acceptance of design guideline grant for planning, zoning, and historic preservation. I am the liaison for this committee and attended their meeting held March 6th. The city commitment was made July of 2023. This grant's project period was to occur from September 2023 through May 2025. The federal award is $22,500 and the recipient match, which is the city's responsibility, is $15,000. The grant was made possible through the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. A grant requirement is that a firm with professional historic preservation experience featuring an architectural historian lead the project. Despite diligent efforts by the Planning, Zoning, and Historic Preservation Committee, this expertise was not available until recently. While the state of Missouri has been most gracious to extend the grant, we need to make it happen now. The committee unanimously voted yes. Tonight, the council can move this project forward with Resolution 2081. The last item on the agenda was to discuss a final request from the Carthage Humane Society. The committee voted to discuss this request at a future meeting with all of the city council present. The next meeting of the Budget Ways and Means Committee is scheduled for 5:30 p.m. Monday, April 14th, here at City Hall Chambers. That concludes my report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims, Chairperson Schramm.
The Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims met tonight at 5:30. The claims that we're submitting for approval are $933,618.40. There were no outstanding claims to present that I wanted to call out, and our next meeting will be March 25th.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairperson Heckmaster.
The Public Safety Committee is in between meetings. Our next meeting will take place next Monday here in Council Chambers at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you. Public Services Committee, Chairman Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Services Committee met in Council Chambers 5:30 on February 27. Number one, we discussed the YMCA contract with the Parks Department for field usage for spring soccer. Time frame runs between March 17 and April 18th of this spring. This time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the YMCA soccer contract for the 2025 spring soccer season.
I believe, Mr. Barlow, that's on the agenda for Council Bill 2513.
I think you are right, sir. Should have redone that. Thank you very much. Number two, a discussion was held with the Kellogg Lake Board that resulted in them requesting city funding in the amount of $65,937.25. This was forwarded on to the Budget Committee. Item three is we discussed the softball contract with the Parks Department for field usage for the softball season. Time frame runs from March 15 to July 15 of this year. Is that on there also?
That is also on
Okay, thank you, sir.
council agenda tonight.
Number 4, the Tropics food trailer being allowed in the parks was discussed. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to allow Tropics food trailer access to the parks at the times outlined in the packet.
Second. Got a motion and a second to allow Tropics food truck to be in the parks. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried.
Thank you. Number 5, a new point of sale system was brought forward by Tyler Markham, our golf pro. He outlined the changes in pricing were very minimal, and we would likely save money by going to this system. You'll see this outlined in a council bill in tonight's meeting. Item 6, we discussed a Little League contract with the Parks Department for field usage for the baseball season. Time frame runs from March 1 to July 31 of 2025 at this time. Wait, is this in the?
Yes, this one is also on the
I'm
agenda.
sorry, I didn't double check on that. It's hard to find good help. And the last item is we had a capital budget that was presented. Public Services Committee will meet again in council chambers, March 27 at 5:30.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Vice Chair. Are you Vice Chair on that one,
Oh.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes, sir.
There was no meeting.
There was no meeting.
This month.
I can handle that one this time. That's fine.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot he wasn't going to be here.
Next meeting is April 1st.
Next meeting is April 1st, no fooling.
Yeah. Reports, Special Committee and Board Liaisons. Ms. Schramm?
First of all, I'd like to recognize some guests we have tonight in here from Missouri Southern. There's a class, their government class. They're sitting at the back. Can you stand up? I'm going to embarrass you. They're here to ask questions and observe of our council meeting. Go ahead. Show them. Thank you for attending. Thank you. I attended the Vision Carthage board meeting this month, and Sally and Kate are doing a wonderful job as co-chairs. They complement each other. Their main project right now are the entrances to the city. They're working south as you enter onto Garrison, and planting the planters. I also went to their design meeting today with Abby, and they've got a lot of projects going on in planting and beautification of the city. It's a passionate group, and they have some wonderful plans for that. Last week, I attended the Tourism Steering Committee. It was led by Melissa Little. This is a group of, I believe, 9 entities of the city that are coming together, and our first goal is to make a comprehensive community calendar where everything is listed in one place so the citizens know where to find events. And Melissa is holding a work session in a couple weeks to discuss the planning for a Route 66 festival here in Carthage. Next year, the whole year, is the 100th anniversary of Route 66. And we're gonna have people here whether we want them or not, so we might as well take advantage of the traffic to promote beautiful Carthage, Missouri. I went to the county commissioners meeting last week. The only thing I really have to report from there is the elevator is not fixed yet. They're working on it. If everybody saw the big crane out there last week, they're close to having it finished. I also attended the Harry S. Truman Coordinating Committee yesterday, and I asked the MoDOT representative a couple questions that are important to us that Tracy's going to be following up on. First one is about the Vision Carthage roundabout sculpture, to see if there's anything they can do to get final approval on that. It's hung up somewhere and has been for a couple years, and this is the sculpture that's already made, and it will go on Garrison and Elk, right by the Casey's. So we're waiting. Hopefully we'll get an answer on that, but we just need to be tenacious about that one. And the other one I asked the MoDOT representative about was the HH and Chapel Road intersection, which they affectionately called it the Jenga corner, as if you know the cars that were stacked up on the pole. She said there may be, that they are looking at the accidents that happen there, and if it gets, we are going to try to move it up on the priority list. It just depends on funding. But until then, there may be a way that they can harness the traffic in that area before the big expenditure of a roundabout is made. So Tracy is following up with that representative to see if there possibly could be an answer sooner than the roundabout. And that's it for now.
Thank you.
I
Mr.
would just
Peterson.
note, Mayor, as liaison to the Kellogg Lake Board, as referenced by Chairman Barlow of the Public Services Committee and Ms. Heckmaster with Budget Ways and Means, there is a project that will come before us this evening, Resolution 2078. And while I'll discuss further and outline that at our discussion period of that resolution, but I did want to note that and then further note that this Thursday, March 13th, at 6 p.m. at Ulmer Funeral Home will be the next meeting of Kellogg Lake Board. But like I said, I'll outline that in much more detail once we get to that resolution. That's all.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the library board met this evening, 5:15. Just briefly, they mentioned that there are multiple nonprofits working together in Carthage. City's the impetus behind that, and they felt like that was a very good and positive thing. They wanted to be sure that everyone checked the library's Facebook page. They've got a lot of activities planned for spring break next week, including, for instance, a story time that is typically for littler ones that aren't yet in school. It's going to be more for elementary kids since they'll be out of school. But every day next week, they've got something planned, plus constant ongoing great activities. So be sure and check their Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
We're in
Ms.
between
Lees?
meetings currently at Carthage Water Electric, but I do want to say, we do take for granted when we turn our switch on that our lights are going to come on. And we take for granted that our guys are going to be out there working the roads when we have snow. But at the same time, I want to say I did not lose power not one time during this extreme cold temperatures we had. I know there were, little ones here and there, but I have to say, sometimes we look at the bad, but we don't look at the good. So I just want to say thank you for keeping my heat on.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, for my report tonight, first thing I would like to do is I would like to recognize Detective Snow, Patrolman Lane, Patrolman Cricky, Patrolman Fallis, Patrolman Tackett, and Patrolman Ransom. These officers were the ones who worked the shooting that we had in town on March 4th. And they spent a lot of hours, and within 24 hours, they had 2 suspects in custody in that murder case. And so I just wanted to recognize them for an outstanding job that they did on that. Also, I've been in a lot of meetings over the last couple weeks. Myself, Chief Hawkins, and Miss Cox went and toured the Humane Society, and we are still discussing a new contract for the Humane Society. And lastly, we received a letter of resignation from our Public Works Director, Mr. Zeb Carney, and his last day will be April 4th. So we have a few weeks still before Mr. Carney's last day. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. Next, reports and remarks of council members. Mr. Peterson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple things tonight, and I thank Ms. White for coming up and speaking, and I hope this will address some of her concerns, but it goes without saying that we had a session on Mr. Martin's appointment in which I voted no. So in the interest of transparency, I just wanted to note that despite any potential conjecture that may be out there, those concerns that I had were not political, believe it or not. And it was more related to process and procedure, which I think is really important as we move through things. But with that said, in the interim period that Interim Chief Martin has handled the department, I've been very impressed with that, as well as we had our budget work session last week. I was really impressed with his handling of the budget and so forth. So I'd just like to reiterate, at no time have I ever questioned Interim Chief Martin's skill, competency, and ability to fight fires and be a fire chief. And for that reason, throughout this interim period, I will be happily and confidently voting yes for Mr. Martin this evening. And while I don't think it needs to be reiterated, thank you so much for your dedication to Carthage. Secondly, in a similar vein, Ms. Cox will we'll be discussing a contract to make her city administrator. And similarly, I just wanted to commend you. I think Ms. Cox is an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world when it comes to lifting a lot of the problems we have in our city. And she's been killing it for a long time, and I certainly support that as well. So thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
And lastly, I already mentioned it, but Resolution 2078, once we get to that as liaison to the Kellogg Lake Board, I'll discuss that project in more detail in that discussion, but that will be before us this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. West?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Lees?
I did have a concern about the new roundabout that is open. I did talk to Zeb so that he could contact the appropriate state officials. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but you go to the top of the roundabout and it has arrows painted on the ground that go left and right. So that could be not a good situation for some people. And then I wanted to say congratulations to the Carthage R9 school system for the new baseball field and the great turnout from the community today. It was fabulous how many were there. It's pretty exciting to be able to see this program take such a big giant step, and it's beautiful. If you haven't been out there, please do so. And then I want to say congrats on the truck to Jason, and it's a funny story. And Janet, last week when we had the budget meeting, when we were talking, he found another truck that was a really good deal, and it sold 30 minutes before we had all approved for him to get it. And so we gave him a birthday present and then took it away, and we were laughing about it at that meeting. So congratulations, Jason and the whole team on the new truck. And that's all I have, and thank you.
So on the roundabout, the roundabout has not been signed off as complete. It is open and we are using it, but subcontractor who painted those lines, Zeb has to talk to the state because it's a state project. So he's talking to the state to get back with the subcontractor to correct that. And there are a few other things that were on their checklist to sign off on before they signed completely off on that project.
Thank you.
Ms. Heckmaster.
I would echo Mr. Peterson's thoughts on both Mr. Martin and also Ms. Cox. I will be delighted to vote for both of you this evening. Also, I just wanted to state that I'm happy to live in a country where we have SBA. Are they perfect? No, but are they ours? Yes. That's all, Your Honor.
Mr. Barlow?
I want to echo the comments on Jason. I'm so ready. And I appreciate how you've endured what has taken too long, and echo the way that Derry mentioned it. Just grateful for how well things run, the great people that we have, and looking forward to getting that matter settled.
Ms. Schramm?
I have a couple things. Also, I want to say I will gladly vote yes tonight for Jason Martin. It's been a long time, but we've developed a trusting relationship with each other, and I believe he's totally qualified for the job, and I'll be happy to vote yes for that. And also to present Tracy's contract for approval, and it's been a while for that, and she has gone over and above what we've needed for this town, and I'm very proud to work alongside her. She's a real asset to this community. I also would like to amend the agenda tonight to add Council Bill 2516. It's down at the bottom for, it doesn't have a number on it, consider and discuss, but I'd like to go ahead and amend that. An ordinance to amend section 2316 of chapter 2, article 4, division 2 of the code of the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Second.
That was Council Bill number
2516.
2516. Got a motion and a second to approve, to amend the agenda and add Council Bill 2516 to line item number 8 on the agenda under new business. Any discussion?
Yes, Tracy, this is where I want to add that part to it.
No.
No? Okay.
When she'll actually read
Okay.
that, and that's when we'll discuss.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'd also like to amend the agenda to add Council Bill 2517 that goes along with that, an ordinance to amend Section 2328 of Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 2 of the Code of the City of Carthage, Missouri.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to amend the agenda under item number 8 under new business, Council Bill 2517. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anything further, Ms. Schramm?
That's it, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll now have administrative reports of officers of the city. Chief Hawkins.
Thank you. Thank you for the recognition for the officers. Is this on? No, it's muted. Thank you for the recognition for the officers, and but in addition to that, as you kind of alluded to, we've had a shooting. We have actually had 2 shootings. One was a full-blown homicide. The other will be serious injuries for the rest of his life, probably. We've had a pretty severe child abuse case. We've had an arson in the park's bathroom. And again, these people are in custody, but 2025 is getting off to a rough start as far as law enforcement goes. The guys have been very busy and working very hard, but again, thank you for the recognition. That's all.
Interim Chief Martin.
I would like to thank everyone for the kind words tonight. It's very much appreciated, but nothing worth having comes easy. So I think the interim period has been helpful to me and given me a chance to work with all of you and demonstrate capability. So, but I appreciate you being open to that. We've been working on the truck. Once we send the letter, we should get the new ladder truck on time, and it's actually fits into our budget a little better going forward. We've had some tough calls with our guys too, and many of you know the call we went on yesterday morning. We had a young child that drowned in a bathtub, and our newest member, who's been with us 2 weeks, was the one that got to work that. So those are tough calls for anybody, especially tough for a brand new firefighter. And I want to say how much we appreciate the bridge and Jude Champagne for hosting a debrief of that event on Thursday morning for our guys. And I believe that's all tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Everyone, please keep our first responders in your thoughts and prayers. These are difficult situations that they go into, and we don't even have any idea the things that they see and the weight that they carry after seeing those things. So please keep those guys in your thoughts and prayers. Parks Director, Miss Almendinger.
Thank you. I want to piggyback off of what the chief had to say about some arson that we did suffer at the Central Park bathrooms. That happened in the men's restroom. We did meet with the entrance adjuster today. Both sides of that bathroom have to be shut down due to the electricity and water and all of that have to be turned off. So we will have to be doing some renovations and repairs there, and that bathroom will have to remain closed until we get that fixed. So we'll do our best to get it back up and running as soon as we can, obviously. Some good news is that we have moved the time that the bathrooms are locking now that daylight savings time has happened, as well as the vandalism in some other restrooms is down a little bit. So we're hopefully trending in the right direction. And if that continues, we'd like to extend that time, obviously, as quickly as we can to get it to coincide with the time that the parks close, which is what we had done previously. So we'll be working to try to keep on with that. I know the police officers are going through the parks significantly, spending a lot of time to patrol those to try to keep the vandalism down. So thank you to the chief for that. And then some other exciting news is that you'll see some fencing improvements out at Fair Acres. The ball fields are getting a little bit of a facelift there, so a lot of work at the ball fields at Fair Acres. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cox?
Before I get in trouble on the mic again. I would like to also say thank you for the kind words tonight. However, I would like to think that I'm more in the lightweight division instead of the heavyweight division. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, that's not to be taken like that.
Spoken like a guy.
Yeah.
It's a compliment to
Just kidding. The sales tax revenue for the month of March came in at 1% higher than the previous the previous fiscal year, and year to date they are up 2.06% or $47,642. However, the use tax, it is still down. It has come up just a little bit. Revenue for the use tax for March was $127,878, which was 5.79% higher than the same time last year, and the same month last year. And year to date, we're actually at approximately 68% of our budget, and we should be around 75%. The year to date total is currently at $958,544. We have looked through the reports, and we are not finding anything that just specifically jumps out to let us, know kind of where the difference is. So we will continue to monitor that. Property taxes, year to date, they are up approximately $11,000. So holding steady with those. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Gold?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Ms. Taylor? Ms. Deal's not here.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll now have report of claims against the city.
I move that we, oh, sorry, go ahead. I was in the meeting, sorry.
The Committee on Claims filed a report in the amount of $933,618.40.
I would move that we approve the March 11th claims as presented.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to approve the March claims. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now move on to old business.
Council Bill 25-06, an ordinance authorizing and adopting provisions for collective bargaining with law enforcement personnel.
Any discussion? Cast your votes. Motion, Council Bill 2506 passes. Now move on to new business.
First reading of Council Bill 25-10, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Lightspeed Point of Sale for the Carthage Golf Course in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Next.
First reading of Council Bill 25-11, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Carthage Youth Softball League for non-exclusive use of the softball fields at the Fair Acres Sports Complex during the summer of 2025 in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Move on to the next.
First reading of Council Bill 25-12, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Carthage Little League for non-exclusive use of the baseball fields at the Fair Acres Sports Complex during the summer of 2025 in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion?
On this bill, I just want to say, I know we're not voting on it tonight,
but the 13 through 16-year-olds were left out of the Little League, and I was not in favor of that happening. I think that we need to take care of all children that want to play baseball, and it was on their sign-up sheet. It would be through age 16, and they decided not to do 13 through 16. So I had told them that next year they need to work with Parks and Rec and the Y to make sure those children are included. So that's all I want to say on that.
Any further discussion? Move on to the next one, please.
First reading of Council Bill 25-13, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Fair Acres YMCA for non-exclusive use of the fields at the Fair Acres Sports Complex for the YMCA's spring sports program in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Move on to the next one, please.
First reading of Council Bill 25-14, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Carthage, Missouri and Total Electronics Contracting Incorporated for installing door access controls for security at the Public Works and Street Department buildings.
Any discussion? Move on to the next one.
First reading of Council Bill 25-15, an ordinance authorizing the city of Carthage to enter into an agreement with Tracy Cox for the purpose of employing her as city administrator for the city of Carthage, authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement by and on behalf of the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to say that I think this is a good move on the city's part as well as the council to show transparency in a contract, that every citizen knows what the contract is about and the terms of the contract. So that's one of the transparencies that we as a council wanted to also provide the citizens. So thank you, Ms. Cox, for asking for that transparency.
I'd also like to add on that, you know, we did due diligence in searching for candidates, and we did feel that Ms. Cox was above and beyond qualified over all of the other candidates that we interviewed, and she's done a fabulous job in everything, just like everyone has echoed. So I'm echoing.
Any further discussion? Move on to the next item.
Consider and discuss aquatic facility.
Ms. Cox, did you have?
This was requested to be added to the agenda as a result of the work session. I believe that you wanted to discuss the scope of the project and the site selection.
Any discussion?
Yes, because, you know, we had not secured funding for over a year. So we needed to relook at the process of, is it the location we need to better, or is it the size of the park and the amenities? And that's why you had appointed a board for that will go into their meetings and decide if we need to have a site study or what amenities that it will entail to get this aquatic center built for this town.
Any further discussions?
Yes, Your Honor. I will add that as far as the aquatic facility goes and the steering committee that was formed, originally the committee was formed to look at funding. However, the current design plans that were previously approved by council, it is a $15 million project. And in order to secure funding for that is going to be very difficult. And that's probably, you know, the main reason for the formation of the board. Also, there's been discussion on where the facility should be located. Previous council did vote and approve the facility to be placed in municipal park. So I believe that is also going to be discussed in the steering committee as well.
And Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Lisa.
We also mentioned that we would like to hear from people too about, you know, what location they would prefer, whether the Fair Acres complex or municipal park, because that's important, because it is for the whole city. I don't want just my opinion or another opinion. We want to make sure that this is what, what the people want. So please encourage people to reach out to us if that's okay to say that.
Okay. So Ms. Cox, do you have a council bill or resolution number that was passed a year ago that we would need to vote to repeal? Would we need to vote to repeal that approval from a year ago, Mr. Gold, or nothing?
Clear on what the approval
We
was.
did not enter into a contract.
Okay, so it was it wasn't a contract? Okay. Okay, thank you. So I will direct the pool committee that was appointed last month to reopen the design phase and the location or site selection to bring back possibly a lower than $15 million plan for a new aquatic facility. Any further discussion? Next item, Amy.
First reading of Council Bill 25-16, an ordinance to amend Section 2-316 of Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 2 of the Code of the City of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion?
Yes, this is, to explain what this is to prevent what happened of June of '23 from happening again, where the entire board was fired. This sets up the precedent of how many members can be appointed and their terms. I would also, and we've worked long and hard on this to get this in place for the security of the board at CWEP. I would also like to add that under A on the 2516, where the mayor is to notify CWEP GM to eliminate potential this would eliminate potential conflicts to ensure they aren't delinquent in utility payments, and you could add that the standards that should be met by the people that serve on the committee. So there should be an amount of vetting that goes into these people and knowledge of who's being appointed.
So you would need to make a motion,
I'd like to make a motion that we add
what you said.
what I just said under Section A of 2-316.
Second.
Would we need to define the qualifications?
I mean, I think you would. I think you leave it too open-ended if you don't.
Okay,
So we'd have that by the second reading?
we can, yes.
Okay.
So I've got a motion and a second to amend Section A to include qualifications for board members. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. And we will have those qualifications before the second reading. Next.
Okay. First reading of Council Bill 25-17, an ordinance to amend Section 2-328 of Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 2 of the Code of the City of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion?
This is also to be very transparent. The last time when the board was fired, it was because it was said they did not turn in financial information. This clarifies that between the city and CWEP, so there will be no question about it in the future. And I'm very glad, and thank you again so much for Mr. Gold, Tracy, Allen, and CWEP, and Lori Lease for working on this ordinance.
Yes, Mrs. Cox.
I do want to note that the revisions just basically state that we will receive financial reports. So currently, we do receive financial reports and a list of expenditures that itemize, the bills that they pay for supplies and materials. It also states that they should be bringing contracts that they've entered into to the council. We have not done that for a I don't know when that even stopped. I've been here for almost 10 years, and we've not done that since I've been employed here. So I don't know if anyone looks at the expenditures, because when they send it, we do include it in the packet. But that's your call if you want to include that going forward or not.
I think if it's included in the packet, it's sufficient. It's just doubling up the work and.
Correct, but going forward, they are not required to submit that information. They are only required to submit financial reports. Just making sure that everyone is clear on it.
Any further discussion? We'll move on to resolutions. Oh, appointments. Sorry.
What'd he say?
Getting ahead of myself.
The mayor's appointment of Jason Martin as City of Carthage Fire Chief.
I would entertain a motion to accept the appointment.
I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the appointment of Jason Martin as fire chief. All in favor say aye. Or no, do we vote on the pads or just a voice? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried.
Chief Martin, just want to see how that sounds. Down, Chief.
We will now move on to resolutions, please. Ms. Taylor?
Resolution 2077, a resolution providing for the formal acceptance of a donation to the City of Carthage's Police Department by the City Council of the City of Carthage, Missouri pursuant to city policy.
Your Honor, I move we adopt Resolution 2077.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2077. Any discussion? Cast your votes. Resolution 2077 stands adopted.
Resolution 2078, a resolution of the City of Carthage, Missouri, authorizing the Kellogg Lake Board to submit a grant application to the Steadley Memorial Trust for the Rearing Pond project with the City of Carthage funding 50% of the project total.
Your Honor, I move we adopt Resolution 2078.
Second.
And I appreciate that. If I may, I'll just quickly for citizens and other, sorry.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2078. Any discussion? Mr. Peterson?
I'll discuss. Thank you, Bear. Sorry.
Derek said he drank an energy drink today.
Yeah, I don't normally. Sorry. 0 for 2 today. So yes, I act as the liaison to the Kellogg Lake Advisory Board. I'm not a voting member or member of that board, but I attend their meetings and facilitate amongst the city council. This project is specific to what's known as the Rearing Pond, or an enclosed portion on the northwest quadrant of Kellogg Lake. And this is a two-phase project that's been brought forward by the advisory board. The first phase is infrastructure, and the second phase is beautification, if you will. So the first phase is specific to infrastructure necessities, and in this small rearing pond, the banks of that pond are eroding rapidly. And moreover, there's a lack of drainage. It actually remains fairly stagnant right now, which is not only not too aesthetically pleasing, but also attracts bugs, mosquitoes, etc. So the real first and foremost focus of that would be shoring up those banks and making sure that it all doesn't erode into nothing. Secondarily would be beautification, in which the advisory board would like to include an ADA compliant sidewalk around that small pond, as well as a 20 by 24 foot pavilion. It is a fairly scenic area. There's, first shore it up and then add an area for people to, very tranquil, bring citizens there. Now, as far as funding, as referenced by Mr. Barlow, Ms. Heckmaster, this went before the Public Services Committee last Tuesday and was forwarded to the Budget Committee last night. The total project cost is just over, or I should say just under $132,000. The Kellogg Lake Board is requesting the city fund half that, or just under 66, which we have in front of us here, with the board then taking that to apply to the Steadley Trust or other grant foundation to bring the rest. Now, full disclosure, the Kellogg Lake Advisory Board did previously submit a grant for the full project cost to the Steadley Trust, which was denied. And because it is city property in a park, they're bringing this forward to hopefully gain partnership and secondary funding in tandem with the city, so that everybody's on board moving in the same direction. And we're optimistic that that would be funded. Now, the last thing I note, that thinking optimistically here, should this pass, the board has requested a letter of recommendation to add to their application from the city. That is just a side note, again, should this pass. So, thank you.
Any further discussion? Cast your votes. Resolution 2078 stands adopted.
Resolution 2079, a resolution approving the recommendation of the McCune Brooks Regional Hospital Trust for the distribution of funds, $35,400, from the restricted trust fund to the city of Carthage.
I would entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2079.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2079. Any discussion? Cast your votes. Resolution 2079 stands adopted.
Resolution 2080, a resolution approving the recommendation of the McCune Brooks Regional Hospital Trust for the distribution of funds, $100,000 per year for 5 years, from the restricted trust fund to the Fair Acres Family Y.
I move we adopt Resolution 2080.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2080. Any discussion? Cast your votes. Resolution 2080 stands adopted.
Resolution 2081, a resolution of the City of Carthage, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to accept a grant from the Missouri Department of Natural Resources for the development of design guidelines to protect the historic character of the City of Carthage.
Your Honor, I move we adopt Resolution 2081.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2081. Any discussion? Cast your vote.
Terry, did you get it?
I said yes.
You did? Because it doesn't have it. Okay.
Resolution 2081 stands adopted. Amy, I almost thought I was going to have to say great job because Miranda always has somebody that has trouble voting.
Just one.
Thank you. Closing comments, Ms. Schramm.
I too attended the ribbon cutting today at the McCune Brooks Regional Hospital Trust Baseball Stadium, and it's amazing to see what this community can do when they pull together. All the people that donated and used all that their assets to put into this field and the love of baseball. It was an exciting event and a gorgeous day to have it.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson?
Nothing further tonight other than congrats, Chief.
Mr. West?
No further comments from me, thank you.
Ms. Lees?
Congrats, Chief, and nothing else. You're up.
Ms. Heckmaster?
Weather's beautiful, get out and enjoy our parks.
Yes.
Mr. Barlow?
Chief Martin. It's got a good ring to it. Seriously, though, I want to, on the topic you mentioned on the challenges that your fellows face, as a retired administrator who multiple times experienced the fellows from the fire department getting there well before any other emergency services, I cannot thank you enough for what they do. And none of us who have not put on those boots, pardon the double negative, but none of us know what they go through. For the police department, the daily threats to their well-being indicated by an example of the T-bone incident, had it been on the other side of the car, it could have gone the other way. And the family members who don't know for sure that their loved ones are coming home that night. And some of them who, the amazing work that they've done, being able to catch those assailants, and then the hit and run recently, again, I know I've mentioned it before, but it's just amazing, and still I know there's stories that we don't know about. But I do want to let you know that I and others continue to hold you and all of your teams in prayer and pray protection and a deep, deep sense of gratitude. Very grateful. I gotta say it one more time, Chief Martin. Congratulations. And you for your patience, your faithful, patient approach, your "this too shall pass with biblical proportions" approach. Very grateful. Thank you. Glad it's over.
Thank you, Mr. Barlow. I'd now entertain a motion to go into closed session for discussion on legal actions, causes of action, or litigations involving a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorneys.
So motion.
Second.
Somebody first.
Lori.
Lori.
I have a motion and a second to go into closed session. Do we vote on the tablets on this, or do we just voice vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're in closed session. Please.
Peterson,
Present.
West,
Here.
Lees,
Present.
Heckmaster,
Present.
Barlow,
Here.
Schramm.
Here.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
For the first time tonight, I was trying to